Welcome to Love and Speak the Truth, a podcast with Sister B and friends. It might get messy, sacred to secular. Don't judge. All voices will be heard here. So listen up. We're going to explore the human experience through the lens of wisdom sharing and faith, with a worldview that might shock you, move you, even downright inspire you. So welcome, my friend Paula Marr. Yeah, this is right. I'm so glad to have you on. I've been looking forward to our conversation, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun today because that's what I think of when I think of you. Energy, fun, and profound insights.
Thank
So
you.
welcome, Paula.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, Sister Brenda, I am so excited to do this and talk about music because, it's a thing.
As we begin, share a little bit about your beginnings. Like, where did this life in music come from? What's your focus in life?
Well, I actually came from when I was a little kid, but you're not aware of how you absorb things as a child, right? So, one of the things my parents were younger. My dad was a musician. They were into Elvis and all kinds of different music that I was exposed to. And so, one of the reasons I started doing things to play music because I started playing the organ because it made my grandparents happy. And there was a lot of sadness around, and I didn't realize this till later, but that's why I really did it, is that it made them happy. My Uncle Mario wouldn't play. I taught myself how to play so that I could play the organ for them and make them happy. I'm the oldest of four, and we grew up with my mom. My dad left when I was younger. And basically, I started playing the drums because I found my dad's drum kit. And this is the true beginning. I was told that girls don't play drums. So guess what? I started playing drums and then everything followed after. And it's really interesting how just something that you can do can make somebody smile in such a girl way.
Mm-hmm. When did you start playing drums? And girls don't play drums. That
Right.
you a certain way, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like, well, I was an athlete. I did a lot of things girls don't do anyway, but still, as a kid, you're like, okay, I want to do this. And it was just something I loved. I loved playing it. I loved knowing that my dad played and just played all the time, taught myself. And my mom was really supportive. It was just hard to get going with music because it was always, you can't do that as a real job. You can't do that for real forever. And I did.
Paula, you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of happiness, and you've made that happy life built around making other people happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. Where does that come from? What are those roots of making other people happy? And essentially, you've made yourself happy in the process. Huh?
Right. I think that there's a spiritual energy to music. It's different to everyone, but as far as playing something that you love and somebody watching it, it's hard not to enjoy it, right? So it brings people together. I like that music has all different styles. Like we had Carol and I, we raised our three kids and they used to fight over what kind of music was great. What kind of music was great? Oh, I like country. That stinks. Or all this tiles of music. And I said, well, if there was only one kind of music, then we'd all be happy, right? So embrace the differences, embrace the diversity and the different styles of music, and then you can be more accepting. Like listen to something that you like, because if it was only one kind of music, I told them it would be just my music. So yeah. But yeah, and then some people asking me my influences, and I didn't realize who they were until I got older and started playing on stage and stuff. So I think that in a lot of ways that doing what you love and loving what you do is probably one of the best things you can show young kids wondering what they're going to do with their lives, and especially when they're creative, because that part of the brain gets left out sometimes. So I always thought I had to be famous to make a difference with especially young kids and other people, but I don't. I just keep doing what I do, and that it spreads. So
yeah, your beautiful kids have really enriched that experience of family and of bringing out the best in each other. I
Yeah.
think that as they've grown, you've really inspired them by following your dream because it's been your dream for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, and you don't realize it. It's just something I could not stop. I couldn't stop doing it, and I think I started when I was 10, maybe 8 to 10 playing, and I actually was pretty shy, and so I used to dance and I used to imitate Elvis, and people would laugh. So guess what? I'm not so shy anymore. Uh, I actually learned how to do drum beats in kindergarten. They used to do drum beats because it's mathematical. It has stuff like that. So that's one of the things I'm sad about too, is it not being more accessible. I often hear people come to me, I used to play drums or I used to be a musician. I go, no, you are always a musician. You just aren't doing it right now. Don't ever give up on that. It can't leave you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that there's these kids actually because I had to prove to them that they can do what they love, and now they are doing what they love. Advice I would give to do if you're a parent or somebody who loves what you do and you show it,
Mhm.
they're listening, they're seeing. It made me have to keep doing it too. So,
Well,
um,
tell me a little bit about that. I think the listeners would be interested in your life now. You have a lot of energy in the PriSSillas. Uh,
yes,
you play the bass with
yes.
that group, and you really rock out. You've played at so many different venues that I know about. But what does it mean? How did that group develop in your life?
I started playing professionally like in the 90s, and I met musicians through them, through that, and through different bands. I was doing original music, and then I started doing a cover band, and then that band kind of got really famous in a way, as much as a cover band could be in Chicago. It was very much all the people in my life that I met and played music with, they stayed in my life. These people have been in my life musically and as friends forever. So it's kind of magical when you get together with that. So Carol had a surprise party for me for my 50th birthday, and she invited all the people from all my bands as a surprise. And I'm on stage, and first of all, it's super emotional because all these people, they came together, and I'm on stage and I'm playing. I'm like, oh my God, everybody's up here. And I turn around and it's just me, Kimmy, and Ange and Jen. That's it. It sounded like everybody was there. I'm like, I got to do something with this. So the PriSSillas came about actually because I was working with a Elvis impersonator, and he was a very dear friend of mine, and he was super sweet. His name was Bob West, and I booked him at a festival, and he said, "Hey, I'm having a hard time getting a band." So I said, you know what? What if I started a band and it would be like Elvis and the PriSSillas, and I'd have it like two S's, and then we'd have an all-girl band backing an Elvis impersonator. We started working on it, and I didn't have the people yet, but I knew I would. And then he had passed away, and so we didn't finish. So this is the name I gave it because it came from a place of what this band is. We do what we love what we do, and or we don't do it. It's hard to hide when you don't like something. These girls that I've been with were very, very close on and off stage, and I think that's something that's more felt than heard. You know, I say I don't age on stage, right?
Mm.
Because I'm like 28 in rock years. Because if I played like about 5,000 shows, I did the math, 3 hours here or there. So it takes off my life, right? So uh, I'm turning 60 and everybody thinks I'm lying. So good. I said, yeah, because
Are you really turning 60?
yes, I know, right? Because I'm such a joker, right? Um, one of the other things I did because I was really afraid of it. I loved Gilda Radner and any comedians on TV. I loved the laughter. I loved it's kinetic. If you see a comedian on TV, you laugh, but if you see it live, you're going to laugh a lot, right? Similar with music. When you watch music on TV, it's like you're in your own thing, but when you're live, there's like a energy and a vibration. So someone said to me, "Yeah, you should be a comedian." I'm like, "I'm not trying to be funny." And so I was really scared. So I went to Second City improv training, and started out with 35 people and graduated with 8, right? So
Mm,
that was
mm.
like something that really showed me like if you're scared to do something, what's the worst that can happen, right? It was remarkable because that laughter and in your mind, and actually improv is about saving people, right? It's about not being funny. It's about somebody is stuck. You got to help them. Same way with music, somebody might miss a chord or something like that, but we're there to support each other, or somebody's having difficulty in their lives. So we have our stage and each other, and it shows.
You know what? I'm thinking in terms of the metaphor of living your life, doing what you love.
Yeah.
You have your family around you. You have that history of trying to make people happy. In doing so, you make yourself happy
Yes.
and doing what you love, and also doing what makes you somehow afraid, but doing it anyway.
Yes. It's scary, but when you surround yourself, I think when people say, I don't have anybody, I said, just start with one person that makes you the most you, right? Whether it be musically or not. I think one of the things that happened and where I realized how great the stage was, or how that whole experience was, is that I've been through a lot of very difficult things, like my family members passing away, losing pets, just very difficult things that I had happen when I had to get on stage, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. Or sometimes I get on stage and I'm, um, you know, not feeling my most best. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I get up on stage, and then I look at my bandmates and I look at the people, and out of nowhere, I get this rush of goosebumps up, everywhere. And I can't even realize I was in that place at that time. It just goes away. So it's healing inside too.
Hmm.
So,
It sounds like your music is a way of life,
yes.
teaching
Yeah.
you how to become more Paula every day.
Yeah. I did go through some dark times with that too. Most musicians that are really good don't think they are.
Mhm.
I never hear a singer go, I love my voice, or at least the musicians and people that I've been around, and I believe are the majority. I was at a place where I was like really depressed because I wasn't in a band that I love being with for good reasons, but I had a dark time where I was, um, I'm nobody. I'm not doing I'm not going to do what I love. I'm not going to not be famous, but not do this as a living. And I felt really not good about not only my talent, but just I'm not, I'm nobody. And I was tearfully so, really believing that. And I always say that another band, like I get in the band, and it kind of saved me from that, because I had bandmates that felt the same similarly, but by supporting them, I got stronger. I got better because I had to show them we're going to do things, we're going to make mistakes, but if we do them together, it saved me in a lot of ways. So and it's not easy to be a professional musician in the regards of things around it, but I would take any of it any day. I love rapping chords. I love booking shows. I love talking to people. I love everything about it. But there are some hard things, and I think it kind of saved me too.
Somehow being on stage and getting the feedback that what people are experiencing through you
Yeah.
is is worthwhile, and it's applauded and it's appreciated, and you get that feedback instantly in that moment. Hmm?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different styles of people, and I talk a little bit with mental illness in a way. Like I have some deficits that I have been, they're actually assets. I have ADHD, and then if it's not doing well, it feeds into anxiety and depression. I'm
Okay.
saying that because in music, I know a lot of musicians that have similar
Mhm.
divergencies. What becomes interesting about that is that you can use some of these things to your strength.
Yeah.
If you're around people who love you for who you are, you'd be surprised. And then there are going to be hard times and there are going to be difficult times, but it is music. It stimulates endorphins, and music is, helps stress, and it's any kind of music. It's definitely helped me. Sometimes I feel like people are going to see how sad I am. I don't know what I'm going to do. Um,
Mhm,
and then I'm not sad. So there.
mhm, mhm, mhm. There's some kind of transformation that happens there. Uh,
Yes.
and you don't attribute it to the gifts until people give you the feedback. And then you say, this is a gift. And you mentioned some of what you might label as deficits. When you think about the people out there who might be listening to this message that you're giving and the dream that you had for yourself, your music was the focus in your life, right? And band life, even with the struggles, supported that sense of who you were becoming as Paula. And now you're making a living at doing something that you love. Where do you think that connection to meaning? I call it spirituality. When you can get underneath the words, you may not even think, oh, this is spirituality. But
Yeah.
for me, the meaning that goes beneath those words, beneath the superficial, where you're going deeper in your life, how does music take you to that deeper place? And what would you say to people who feel that they are living in a deficit and they don't see it as gift, whatever they have as gift?
Well, I think talking about it, finding someone to, verbalize that. And then it's hard to tell somebody have faith because I know it's like to say, I'm not as good, right? So,
Mhm.
but I can prove that faith in what yourself can do will work. If you only have yourself, that's okay. And I'm thinking about spiritual things that happen from music itself and how healing it can be. It has a sense of spirituality in the way that it affects you emotionally when you're not doing it. It's like there's a sadness, there's something missing, there's something missing. Well, I guess if I look at it this way, if I'll be sad if I'm not playing, but I don't realize that's why. So if I would talk to somebody, I say teach from the inside out. I say do it loud and wrong until you get it right. Pretend you're playing, get in a loud room by yourself and be a musician that you imagine, or be a person that you imagine. There's no wrong way to do that. I've self-taught in all the things that I do, and it often made me feel like I wasn't as good of a musician as a lot of great talented people I was with, but that gave me a different perspective of how I learn and play music. So I think finding one person or finding something that makes you feel like nothing else in the world can make you feel. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. That there's connection in all of that because we all need to find a place. And I think it's in the imagination. There's music in each one of us. And we have
Yeah.
to figure out what that instrument is.
Yeah. I mean, I always say this, that the bass found me. I ran into somebody in a music store and I was playing the bass on the wall because I was waiting for the keyboards to open up. And someone came up to me and said, "Hey, we need a bass player." And I said, "I don't know anyone." They go, "You?" I go, "Well, I'm not a bass player." He goes, "Oh, you are." And so you never know when it's going to come to you. But bass came to me, and it makes the most sense in a lot of ways. And I found that by just never really giving up. But when I worked for a park district, and I worked children and adults with special needs during a time of COVID, we had to come up with Zoom calls for our participants in these programs. And I was DJ PJ, and I would do these songs. And I did a DJ dance party, and they zoomed in about 200 people all over Illinois. And I watched the screen and them lose themselves. Then I would do some music classes with the kids. Some of them were more verbal than they were in person. So we were finding music, bringing out things in some of these individuals that did have some more differently abled listening.
Mhm.
And the mom one time would comes in and she starts crying. I'm like, "What's wrong?" He said he loved the music, and she goes, "He doesn't speak." So music helped him speak. that was proof again, it's there. It's healing inside and out.
Well, you use both sides of your brain when you're doing music, and there are different ways of speaking. There are different ways of listening, and it sounds like you have listened not only with the side of the brain that's the logical. The fact of the matter is, you have found a way to be completely Paula in the context of music, and you share that widely. Hmm?
Yes.
And you've somehow found a way to heal whatever it is that perhaps was not good enough or even enough for other people, but it's absolutely spectacular for you.
I feel like I'm so lucky in so many ways. Music brings people together too. Like there's people I'm friends with just from them coming through my shows through all the years. They've got married at a show, they've had kids, and they've had families, and so our music does appeal to a wide variety by design because you know, it works that way, but they bring people together. And I remember when we hadn't played for a while, that was very hard. And we did some things online and some stuff remotely. But when we first came out and we were able to play outside and people came to the concert and they were like crazy. Like you don't realize how much vibration live music has until you're not in front of it, right?
Mhm.
And even these people who may not have even thought twice about it, they were celebrating birthdays, home, reunions. Somebody came in from the military. They're going to come to our shows and celebrate there.
Mhm.
Um, so there's that whole kind of sense of bringing people together.
Let me just take us off on a little tangent here
Sure.
with the staying with the same music theme. One of the most amazing people in music today is this Taylor Swift, and she has her Swifties. She's got a business mind that's kind of spread a culture around her music. Hmm?
Yeah.
But the thing that amazes me about this young woman is that she's been able to bring people together, lots of different types of people in
Hmm.
her music and her message. She's also given something else to music, I think, other than being the fact that now she's a billionaire and she shares her wealth so generously.
Yes.
But most importantly, she also serves. She's a person that gives of herself, not just her money, not just of her fame, but she gives herself. I've read a couple of articles where she has given X amount of percentage of her earnings to her crew, and she visits hospitals, and she promotes small businesses, and she serves in communities. And it seems that this thing of fame and wealth and the art of music imagination that's brought her to a certain level. And then you're on the other end of that. You're not the billionaire and all that, but
Yeah.
you still do a lot of the same things. You
Yeah.
serve and you share, and you know it somehow music empowers people, and when they do it with their whole selves, I think you don't have to be a billionaire to do it, but you have to start somewhere, huh?
Yes, and again, that's the stigma behind being a musician. Your success is measured on how far you've come, like how famous. Now, I did a presentation at the library. I did one it was called Keep on Rocking the Free World, and then Roadie to Rock Star, about I love being a roadie and I love being a rock star equally, like everything that goes with it. So the stigma behind it is like how much how much fame do you have, like being in songwriting, you want your songs to get out there, and that was one of the harder things and stuff. But I look back at the stuff and I've opened up for Willie Nelson, Sugarland, and met some of these people, and that's where I was like, oh good, I hope to be there some way so that I can help lots of people. And it goes right at the beginning. I already am. I don't say I already am, but I think anybody who's doing this for, it is for myself, and my well-being, but, in my, my soul can't live without it, but I think I don't have to be famous in that way. And if somebody is struggling, like, I don't know if I should start doing this, then like how you said, I DJ'd for like nursing homes and rehab centers, and then I DJ'd for schools. I wasn't a DJ. I didn't get to say that there because I was just doing something that whatever I can do, I could give to them. And I taught all my kids how to be drummers and catchers, whether they stayed doing it or not, because that is like it's one place you sit and you could see everything. And so I wanted them to, do that. And kids can play drums. They could hold sticks. They could hit stuff. And they could be successful, even at just a hand drum. Like, it
Mhm.
does transforms you. You can't stop. So my youngest Matthew had when he was in kindergarten, he had difficulty staying in his seat. And the teacher said to Matthew, if you stay in your seat for a whole week, you can bring your drum. He goes, what would you like to do? He goes, can I bring my drum kit to class? And she goes, sure. First of all, not thinking he's going to sit in his seat, but is hopeful. And two, what could a kind of drum kit could this little kid have? Well, I had a relationship with the schools because I also did assemblies at all the schools. So for Circle, the teachers knew that Paula Marr was going to have her kid bring his drum kit. So anyways, he did sit in his seat and we brought his drum kit and he set it up and he showed everybody what every piece was. And then I have very few rules when I start, just technically, but I teach from the inside out, let them play, do the right things with your wrists and everything. So anyways, we set up the kit. She goes, oh my God, I can't believe it. So she has about 8 kids in the class and each kid got up and played drums. And at the end I gave him like, okay, encore, encore. And Matt he just transformed into this, you know, tiny little guy. And the teacher, I look in the back and she's crying. She's just crying. And I'm like, what's wrong, Miss Curran? She goes, I see all the personalities of them on those drums. Like the one little girl, she couldn't, like, her legs didn't grow, so she had to sit there, and she was an animal. She was a wild woman. And she goes, those are the personalities that I see as their teacher, and there they are right on the drum kit. And you see all the people in the window on the glass looking in the door like, what's going on in there? Because, you know, um, it kind of explains some of the things like, it's not only about kids. It's all about, we all have a little bit of, we're just not as much of a sponge when we're as kids, but now these days there's a lot more, I would say, stress than there used to be in our lives. That kids were usually, there was more innocence and they were protected from that. So, full on with Taylor Swift, right? She makes these kids feel like they're important. And that's the part of it, right? And there's the people that I don't like Taylor Swift. I go, well then, you don't have to listen to her music, but if Sally's gonna listen to her music, then listen to the drums or listen to something you like in the song. You know, I have a teen club that I started too, and they all get to bring music and they're like, I could play my music. I don't I care about the content, right? And they're like, okay. And they're playing these songs like they played 90s R&B and they played a song by was it Feeling All Right? And they started playing. I'm like, oh, they go, you know that song? I go, yeah, my band plays it. And they're like, what? So a lot of these kids that grew up with parents that love the music that we're playing right now, all like, it's like so multi-generational in a way. I think that, in the relative of that, that's why I tell kids to play drums and loud and wrong. Don't tippy tap it.
I kind of sort of gave that example of the kind of this ultimate Swifty
Yeah.
example, and then your development of the PriSSillas. There is still in between there. Music is not a commodity. Music is something that changes people. And it also somehow, when you do it right, it demands that you give service to those people. You wait for the transformation, in how they become themselves in the process of loving the music. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be the billionaire music. It could be the opener. It
Yeah.
could be the person who teaches music in the school, the person who sits in the corner and beats on the drum,
Right.
uh, or the little kid that waits for the opportunity to sit in his seat so he can show off his gift. So I think we look at the fame as the person that goes out with the billions, but I
Yeah.
think she's doing right is she's paying attention to the gift of music as well, and that's the thing that's coming out for me
Yeah.
with your talk.
Um, I'm glad that there's some awareness to that. I I know that there are musicians that aren't like that, but for the most part, they're really good people.
So, Paula, sounds like
Yeah.
those not music has kind of been the center of our conversation. I wonder, is there any book or bit of music that you would want to share, poetry that you would want to share that kind of expresses for you something you've learned or want to share with other people? Any writing?
Well, you talk about books. It's hard for me to read, so but I do, and it takes me longer to do things, but it's worth it. But one of the things I got to when I was, kind of working on my self-esteem and myself is it's Sark, S-A-R-K, and it's like just messages written in crayon and beautiful pictures. That was like I call the book. um, as far as reading a book that I felt was something that I've helped people with it. Right, there, a lot of young people struggle with you know a lot of things these days, and Sark was the book. Was it inspirational to me? But it was something that I could find happiness in. It's like one of those, it's almost like if you look at the book of Psalms and you open it up and you close your eyes and you look at it and you find a message.
Mhm.
It's similar in the way to that. The other, I had listened to a book on tape for of Gilda Radner, and so she reads her book, and it was before she passed, and um, it was really talk about not feeling famous or needing to be famous and things like that, just super ridiculously talented. That inspired me. Um, one of my favorite song is "If I Can Dream" by Elvis Presley, and it was always my favorite song for a long time. And now I really see why. Just it connected the way he sings that song. I mean, he never rips his voice; he's always so clean. But there, he sang that song because it meant something. And in this world, our community and our family and our people around us within a block are really important. So I played that song for my participants, and because letting them dream. If I can dream of a better place, you could take it in so many ways. The lyrics, and sometimes lyrics, people don't listen to lyrics; they listen to music, and it moves them. So the other one would be "The Greatest Love of All" by Whitney Houston.
Mhm.
I read the lyrics. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. All the beauty they possess inside. Give them a chance to be all that. I'm not remembering the exact lyrics, but if you just read that, it's a different kind of a love song. So it was like, okay, that is a beautiful, the greatest love of all is what we do and let ourselves be and help people who need help. Of course, help yourself first and you'll be a better help. I played the drums or the percussion at your passion play. I may not have gotten up to do that because I was afraid that I wasn't like, good enough to do it or I didn't have the knowledge. But because of why I was doing it and who I was doing it with, I felt like I could do it and I did.
Mhm.
That's just an example, like currently. So out of fear or out of doubt, you may or may not find it, but take care of yourself by um, talking to people, and just one person is enough.
Beautiful, beautiful. Paula, do you have one truth you'd like to leave us with?
The truth, I would say I mentioned them a lot here, but doing what you love and loving what you do and being, leaving room for kindness. I know it sounds simple, but say it out loud sometimes. I think there's a gift in giving. I think there's a gift in not only music, but anything artistic, somebody drawing, and giving them support. You don't have to do a lot, but just do a little for those who need some help. My truth is, you know, start with yourself, start with your loved ones, start with what moves you.
Paula, thank you so much for
Yeah,
your honesty and your enthusiasm and
sure.
just your openness to be exactly who you are.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, Paula. Thank you so much. Every time I've asked you to do something, done it with just great generosity. And
Yeah.
that's service to one another that we give that support. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and I can't wait to rock with you again.
God bless. And now for the wrap up. You have just had a human experience from a spiritual being. We have so much to learn. So go forth to love and speak the truth. Ad majorem Dei Gloriam.